Haha. Haha. Let's try that. Thanks for bearing with us, guys. Hey!
Hello. I don't know what happened there, Andy. Anyway, whatever.
No problem. You're here now.
Yes.
You're here. So,
I'm here now. Sorry to keep you waiting.
No, it's all right. It's not a problem. Yeah, obviously, for those who missed my little sort of introduction, we're going to be chatting to Jon Morton today, who's one of the guys behind Airstyle VW magazine. And so, yeah. Hi, Jon. Welcome along.
Hi, Andy.
Thanks for joining us. I think we'll come to the magazine in a minute, but I wanted to kind of start with just chatting about you, really, sort of learn a little bit about yourself. Where are you from and what do you do?
Okay, might not be such a good idea to send everyone to sleep this early on in the in proceedings, but let's give it a go. So I live in Tunbridge in Kent, and after I left school, I had various occupations. I'll use that term slightly loosely, which ranged from being a stockbroker to being a lifeguard and a whole lot of things in between. But it took a while, but eventually I found my niche in publishing, and that's where I've spent the majority of my working life. I started out working for a couple of the big sort of household names, working on a lot of the publications that you'll have seen, getting the mickey taken out of them on Have I Got News For You and programs like that, all sorts of obscure titles that you never knew existed.
As a guest publication.
It was some weird and wonderful stuff. Anyway, and then in 1999, I decided to go off on my own and set my own publishing company up. How hard can it be? I thought, and I soon found out. So that was 1999. So yeah, good few years ago now.
And what do you publish apart from? I guess you publish Airstyle. What do you kind of publish apart from that? Is it kind of
So we publish a couple of magazines which are in the office equipment and supplies sector.
Okay.
So it's done, my sort of main company, if you like, is a company called Office Solutions Media. And we've got a couple of publications there, one for buyers and resellers of office equipment and supplies. So it's, and both have websites, etc. But so very different.
So what's your connection with air-cooled Volkswagens? What got you started and what have you owned?
Okay, well, you could say I was born to it, really, because my first ride in a car back from hospital after I was born was in the back of my dad's Beetle.
Okay.
And then when my parents wanted to get me off to sleep, which was on a fairly regular basis, I think, they put the carry cot in the back of
They put you under the front.
Yeah, that's it. So they put the carry cot in the back of the Beetle and drive it around the block, and the soothing tones of the air-cooled engine would soon have me in the land of Nod. I've been hooked ever since. So I've had a couple of Beetles and spent most of my late teens, early 20s in a Mark I Golf.
Okay.
So as I say, but born into air-cooled, I think, really.
And what is it you drive at the moment?
So at the moment, I've got a 1977. I've got a late bay 1977. I'm very proud of its originality. If I ever get the chance to bore anybody stupid with it, I do. But basically, I'm only the third owner.
Okay.
And when I say proud of the originality, I hasten to add that's not the paintwork. The paintwork's had a little bit of attention, shall we say, over the years. But internally, it's all pretty much original. I've kind of put a few mod cons in there, diesel heater for one,
Yeah.
some USB chargers, and it's got a connection for a sort of fold out solar panel, but they're all hidden away, so you don't know they're there. And it's the Dormobile conversion, which I absolutely love, particularly the cooker under the seat. It's just genius. And my daily drive is a Volkswagen Golf.
Okay. So how long you had the Bay?
Oh, a good few years now, but it took me a while. I was looking for one for a long time,
Yes.
because as you know, these things are so old. You've got to be very, very, very careful. But the guy I bought it from, he bought it from his next door neighbour, and his next door neighbour had it from new.
Oh wow. Okay.
And a file like this fat with.
Yeah.
Apart from the original bill of sale, there's just about every other receipt in there for anything that's ever been done to it.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So went quite a way to get it as well, actually. So up to Warwickshire to get it, but a well worthwhile journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So to help us paint a picture of, I guess, the enthusiasts behind the project, could you explain a little bit more about your colleagues and also where they fit in with kind of the VW community as well?
Yeah, sure. So basically, you've got Sam and Laura Jeffrey, who are a Mr. and Mrs. And they run V-Works, which is a specialist VW outfit. They look after interior, upholstery, general kind of servicing, etc., and restoration work. And then Spencer White. Spencer set up online. Spencer set up a collective on social media around 13 years ago now. Okay. Something called Under the Arches.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
UTA. Yeah, which has an absolutely massive following across all the major platforms. So we obviously all have, we're all air-cooled lunatics. So we all have this very common interest between us.
Okay, and how did you all come to meet? Have you known each other years, or you kind of bumped into each other at a show? Or
a while. We all live in Kent.
Okay.
And Sam and Laura's business is based in Kent, in Penshurst. And I took my bus in there to get some work done. And as you do with these, there's never a quick trip to the air-cooled workshop, is there? And we just got chatting and whatever, and then from that became friends, and through those guys got to meet Spencer, and obviously the other big connection there is that Sam, Laura, and Spencer, they all organise Volkswagen, which is a great weekend show in normal times, of course. Held at Penshurst Place, which is just this fantastic medieval backdrop to like a real proper old school VW weekend. Brilliant, great selection of cars there. It's a really good weekend away. So those guys all organised that show between themselves as well.
Cool. So I guess, the next question may be the obvious one. What was the inspiration to start a VW magazine?
Yeah, it's that's a good question.
Good asking it.
yeah. And why start one in the middle of a pandemic? Well, whilst I've worked in the publishing sector for a long time, I've always worked in business to business magazines. Okay. So I've always had this desire to do something within the Volkswagen community, if you like. And one afternoon I was up at Sam's just for a change, having a cup of tea, and we started kind of chatting about it, throwing a few ideas around, and then it just started to grow from there, really. And then each time we saw each other, each of us had more of a chance to think about it. And then we started chatting to Spencer about it as well, and then the whole thing kind of grew from there, really.
Because you work in publishing, whether or not you got any concerns about the future of print, or whether everything's all going to go on the internet.
Yeah, look, I think that what you have to do is really recognise how to use the various platforms to their strengths.
Yeah.
And I think, as I was saying, before I was rudely interrupted, the subject matter that we have with this publication is just so photogenic that, you know, these things are absolute things of beauty, and I don't think that always comes across looking at something online.
Yeah,
so you know, I think we're all of us are big fans of print media. I mean, and I'm not just saying that because I've worked in the business for a long time. I think that it absolutely has a place. I don't think for every market, and I'm sure there's some markets now that are in print that will slowly move away into a more digital kind of platform. But having that said, we do a digital version. We do have a digital subscription. So
okay.
If people would prefer to read it that way, then that's absolutely what they can do.
Best of both worlds, then.
Yes.
Are you guys writing and photographing the magazine yourself, or have you got an editor on board, or you got kind of a team of writers or photographers? How's it working?
It's a bit of a mixture, really. With the first issue and with the teaser edition, we really had to kind of reach out to people, because we couldn't send a photographer or a journalist out, even if we wanted to, because nobody was allowed to do that. So we have relied a lot on vehicle owners, conducting the interviews with vehicle owners, and those guys supplying us with photography. You know, some people have had photo shoots done anyway professionally of their vehicles. So we very much had to rely on that. Then everything comes into us. We've got a proofreader, copy editor who goes through everything and just makes sure, as much as we can, that everything's all within house style before it's too late.
Fantastic. What would you say differentiates your VW magazine from the other publications that everyone's familiar with?
Yeah, it's a fair point. I think, look, I personally, I love all of the VW mags. I can't get enough of them, quite frankly. My shelves are absolutely full of them. But what we wanted to do with this was to put together something that we felt we would want to read. Yeah. So I think that what differentiates it a little bit is we wanted something, without trying to sound too cheesy here, we kind of wanted something for the people. So a lot of the cars that we have and buses that we feature are not necessarily showstoppers, and the owners may well not feel them worthy of being at a show or featuring in a magazine. You know, they may well be hidden away in the car park somewhere. But what we like is stuff that's got a really good backstory to it. So it's very much about the owners as well as the vehicles. And what we're trying to do is show that you don't necessarily have to have deep pockets classic VW ownership doesn't necessarily have to be a rich man's hobby. You can get involved at various levels, and I think that's really what we try to promote through there. And it's very much lifestyle as well. So there's some music in there. There's a bit of fashion in there as well. Because if you've got an air-cooled VW, then it's far more than just driving a car or a bus. There's a whole scene, as we know, that goes with it. So we were just really trying to tap into that and trying to be relevant to as many people as we can.
That's fair enough. I've spoken to a few people who have kind of started new obviously every magazine's new at some point, but I always kind of find it interesting to ask, what were the names which kind of got left on the cutting room floor when you come up with a name? Were there any kind of which remain in your head, either for the right or wrong reasons, perhaps?
There were all sorts of names, because it's almost like having a child, and you suddenly think, oh great, now what do we call them? So we knew what we wanted to do with the mag, etc. And so the idea for the name, we were going around in circles with names. Most of them had the word Volks in there somewhere. So we were really trying to come up with something that was a bit different, but because it was a new title, we were kind of going for a bit of a does what it says on the tin type approach, but not necessarily hard and fast. So I have to give credit to Spencer here, actually, because Spencer came up with the name. We were having a strategy meeting at Witherspoon's. And Spencer took a natural break, as you do, and we were just, we'd been chucking around all these sorts of names, and the end goal here was for us to have an air-cooled lifestyle magazine. And it just in that moment of inspiration in the gents, it came to him, air style, and then he came back all pleased with himself, and Sam and I kind of went, yes, okay, and then we after we'd said it to each other about 300 times and written it down on the back of various beer mats to see how it would look, it stuck, and I had to say we absolutely love the name.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it works well, I think, and as you say, it kind of does what it says on the tin. So in our world of mixed media, if you had all the resources and the time to do it, would you choose to support the magazine with an audio podcast or an online video channel? Have you got a preference kind of either way on those, or maybe you've even got it as part of your master plan?
Well, it's we're very much multi-platform. But coming back to what I was saying earlier on, I think it's recognising each platform and for the strengths that it has. Social media, fantastic for some things, not necessarily great for everything. So I don't think there's a kind of a sort of a one size fits all with this. So I think that going forward, absolutely. Well, I mean, our website is not just information about us. There's product information on there as well. And over time, we will develop the content on there. We're looking to have areas of specific interest in terms of technical information, etc. And we'll gradually build that over a period of time. but absolutely, that would be part of the plan. It's, you know, we're a quarterly publication, and obviously things happen in the months in between you publishing the magazine. So I mean, we have a newsletter which goes out, and the website itself. I mean, we've got a video on the website at the moment with the which has got the cover, the Copper Beetle, the cover car on there.
Okay.
So, and I think that over time, absolutely, we'll develop those. But our main job right now has to be getting the title established and firm in everybody's minds, and for people to understand what it is that Airstyle is all about. And the best way we can do that is by sticking to what we're doing with the magazine.
So is there, I'll kind of flick through, obviously, the preview one and issue one as well. Is there a conscious effort to shine a spotlight on particular corners of the VW scene, which may be underrepresented in other magazines? So, like, for example, there was a pair of Type 3s in issue one. You've got Slam Fastback on the cover of issue two. And then you have Buggies in preview issue and issue one as well. Is that something which is kind of conscious, or it's just kind of they're the cool cars you got?
It's very conscious, actually. What we want to do is cover all corners of the Volkswagen community. So I think that we would absolutely look to feature, as I was saying earlier on, anything that's got an interesting kind of backstory, and there are some amazing vehicles out there that really have got a story to tell, and I think that what we want to do with the magazine is so that when somebody pick whatever area of it is that they're into, hopefully we've got something in there for them. So I think it's a really good point, Andy. We have, and I'm glad you say that, because we have consciously tried to go across the kind of the broad spectrum. At the end of the day, there's only so many pages in the magazine, and we found that with the first issue, it was like, oh my, all these fantastic cars. But yeah, I really trying to go right across all areas is what we're trying to do.
I think you got a Nova kit car lined up for next issue, I think.
We have, absolutely. Yeah, it's more than lined up. Yeah.
Wonderful. So it's kits as well as kind of out of Wolfsburg. It's
absolutely. I think what we're trying to do is the whole thing behind the magazine is really, we want to encourage people we want to inspire, we want to encourage people to kind of give it a go and that job they've been putting off for the last 6 months or whatever, we're all guilty of that. Just go on and do that. And I think that that whole kind of ethos, if you like, just flows through the magazine, in terms of, as I say, feet on the ground approach, and trying to inspire people to do what it is they should have been doing for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I always try and include a question or two in these interviews to kind of inspire me as a schoolboy, I guess. So for the teenager sat at home who's reading every magazine going, wanting to get in on the action, what advice could you offer? And also, would you take stories or photo submissions from people who are kind of new, unpublished or whatever, and want to give it a go?
Yeah, 100%. And I would actively encourage it. Anyone that's out there, and this is where social media I was talking about various platforms and their various strengths. This is where social media comes in. What really works well when you do shout outs for vehicles, etc. So yeah, I mean, you look at what we put out in the first couple of issues. We were entirely dependent on people getting in touch with us, and whether you have any journalist training or not really doesn't matter, because what we're about is really from the heart, you know. And I think that if you sanitize things too much, you lose that. So there's something nice about the rawness of people telling it how it is. So absolutely, anybody out there right now that wants to send us some info, get in touch, then do. And anyone that's thinking about doing it, thinking about taking a few pictures of their car or whatever, do so. And we've got this, we have a page in the mag called Air Vent, and that's what that is all about. That is all for people that might just want to take a shot of their car, send it in, say, oh look at what I've done, this is, you know, I've just upgraded this or done this, done that. So it's, you know, as I say, it's all very much, you know, people's mag, and trying to be there and trying to have the content that people want.
I think that's really cool. It's kind of celebrating the cars, but it's also kind of just giving opportunities. That's when I was kind of growing up and kind of reading the magazines, what I wanted to do is kind of do that sort of stuff, and so now I'm kind of doing this sort of stuff. But if there's people out there kind of thinking, oh, I'd love to be able to do that, then sit down at a laptop at the weekend and write something.
Definitely. Do you know, I mean, I having worked in the publishing industry as long as I have, the amount of guys that are in, and you may well know this from, you may well be aware of this from other people you've interviewed on here, but look, the amount of them that have never had any journalistic training, really. They just had an interest for something, and the conversation with some things led to something else, which has ended up with them suddenly being in the right place at the right time and being an editor on a magazine. So, you know, it's there's skills like copywriters and that can just make sure things are, you know, grammatically correct, etc. But in terms of, you know, like I say, the actual kind of rawness of the articles, you don't want to take that away. You want to hear it. You want to hear it how it is, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is really true. I'm kind of thinking. I spoke to Danny Hopkins, who's the editor of Practical Classics. He trained as an actor, so he's kind of completely
fantastic, brilliant
from that background. Neil's from Air Mighty, was as a graphic designer. Paul Knight, I think, was graphic designer from kind of his background. I think, there's obviously loads of them, but there's quite a lot from sort of graphics background. But actors and everything, people who just sort of gave it a go, and and that's kind of that's how those things sort of happen. So
but that's very much so. What do they say? Everybody has a book in them, don't they? So perhaps everybody has a magazine in them as well. Who knows? Potentially,
yeah. So we touched on Volksworld or Volkswheel even earlier. Have you got a particular kind of favourite show, or what's your idea of a good weekend away in the van?
Well, I have to say Volkswheel, no, because Sam's probably watching and he's probably going to park outside my house if I don't say I like that one. But joking aside, it is a fantastic show. Do you know, Andy? I'm a real fan of the one day, the sort of single day events.
Yeah.
So things like Dubs at the Park is a favourite of mine. The one over at Henley as well.
Stoner,
yes, absolutely, yeah. So, you know, what I like about the one day events is kind of the kind of like intensity of it, if you like. You know, it all happens on one day, so everybody just has to be there. So you've got that kind of buzz. If I was looking at weekend shows, then I would probably say Grill and Chill, which is at the Hop Farm in Paddock Wood.
Yeah. We spoke to Anton a few months back, one of the guys who runs it.
And it's well organised, a really good mix of cars and vehicles, and it's just, you know, it's just a nice chilled out weekend, really, and it's very close to where I live. Do
you only go camping at VW shows, or do you go camping for kind of holidays as well?
No, we do take the bus. We took it not last year, obviously, because nobody took theirs anywhere last year. But the year before, we took it right down into France and had a lovely sort of 3 weeks away. And I find that once you get across the channel, there's so much more camper friendly. Okay. And some of these little airs you can, because as we all know, you don't buy a bus to get anywhere quickly, really, do you? It's the journey's all part of the holiday, isn't it? As you keep telling yourself. But so you obviously break the journey up, and some of the airs that you can stay at are absolutely amazing little places. If you can get off the main drag and into some of these little towns, you can stay at some fantastic little places. And we stayed. We spent a few days on the way back. We spent a few days in Le Mans, and we stayed at this amazing chateau, and the grounds had all been converted into camping, and it was just absolutely amazing. I have to say, I didn't buy the bus to go camping in it. I bought it because I wanted it. But that's been a nice thing to be able to do with it as well. It's been good fun.
Wonderful. On issue 1, I was kind of flicking through it, kind of working out what to ask you, and I noticed there's no barcode on the back of it. Will the magazine be available in newsagents or supermarkets, or are you just kind of doing it all yourself, subscription only? How's that going to work?
Ultimately, I'd love to think that it could make its way onto the shelves at WH Smith's or local newsagents, etc. It's quite a complicated process getting to that stage, and it's very finger in the air in terms of how many to send where, etc. There are, you can look at kind of hotspots for where people buy magazines that are interested in that sort of sector. So it's not exactly you're not exactly going in blind, but there is it is a little bit kind of finger in the wind. But I think that for us now, the best approach is the way that we're going about it. And hopefully the show season is going to kick off shortly. And once we can start getting out and about at the shows as well, that's obviously will have a huge benefit for us. I think also because we're quarterly, the supermarkets don't really like quarterly titles.
That's true. Yeah.
So that creates a slight barrier there. But ultimately, we'd like to get to that stage, but it's a way off yet.
Do you think kind of long term, if you looked at kind of 5 years time, are you thinking we'll make this monthly, or do you think it's going to be sort of quarterly? That's where you guys are happy.
At the moment, that's where we're happy. I think that one of our sort of strap lines in all this is come on board join us for the Airstyle journey, and I think that's absolutely what it will be. And I think that realistically, for us to set anything up with any higher frequency than quarterly, would have been fairly insane, really, at this stage. But we'll see how we go. I think the thing is, would we have enough vehicles to fill it more often than quarterly? Absolutely, absolutely, we would. It's just, I don't know. There's a lot of kind of ifs and buts and maybes, but I think for the moment we're very happy with it being as it is, quarterly, and then having the other kind of platforms in the background as well.
So kind of moving on from subscriptions, you've got kind of a deal going on with SkyTag, who are like a tracking type company. Tell us a bit more about that, because that seems kind of pretty awesome. So for anyone who subscribes, they get a free SkyTag, is that right?
Yeah, indeed, absolutely. And someone once said to me, if something looks too good to be true, it normally is. But in this case, I can assure you, it's absolutely bang on. It's a cracking deal. I knew of SkyTag that they are a Kent-based company as well.
Okay.
So I kind of knew of their existence. And Volkswagens, as we know, soon become part of the family. And you obviously want to do as much as you can to protect your family members. So I spoke to the guys over there and said, would they consider doing something special for our readers? And all credit to them, they came back and said, yeah, absolutely, this is what we'll do. So somebody gets if they subscribe to AirStyle, we send them a code, and they can use that code then they basically take out a year's cover with SkyTag, and they got various different levels, and that's all they pay for, just that cover. The actual device they get for free.
And the cover, I was looking at it, isn't actually that much, is it? It's kind of sort of £6 or £7 a month, I think it starts off at. So from what I could see.
Oh, what for the Mac AirStyle?
No, for SkyTag.
For SkyTag, yes, absolutely, yeah. I think
it's not kind of.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. There's different levels you can have. You can have a real belt and braces job. I think for some peace of mind, absolutely, yeah, you're right. It's about £6 or £7, yeah, a month, which is great.
And how much is the AirStyle subscription? If you've got the numbers to hand.
For UK, and obviously the SkyTag thing that applies for the UK readers, it's just under £20, £19.95.
Not bargain.
Absolutely.
So let's see where we're going. I guess when you started the magazine, was there one thing which you guys maybe overlooked or underestimated when kind of starting it off with starting the magazine itself or the brand? Is there like one of those moments where you go, oh man, we didn't do this? Or if you could go back and do it again?
Do you know what? It went amazingly well to plan, actually, I have to say, which is unusual. I think that we all, between us, we all bring something to the party, and the mix that we have, I think, as well. I think whilst we're all into air-cooled Volkswagens, we've all got slightly different. We have some common ground, and we have some different tastes as well between us. And I think that's that kind of blend that you get as a result of that reflects in that great mix of content that we had. But I think with the mag, we set out our stall in terms of what we wanted to do with it, how we wanted it to look, and also, bear in mind, again, I keep using the P word, but coming back to the pandemic, a lot of the time we couldn't meet up with each other. So, our art editor, which was kind of doing all this over the phone and on Zoom and whatever, it's just absolutely mad. But it just shows you can do. I think we've all, whatever businesses you're in, we've all learned to adapt and survive, that you can do these things. So it went. I think it pretty much went according to plan. I think for me, the real big nervous moment was once everything had been approved at the printers. And so when the letterbox went, with the issue dropping through, I was kind of like this.
I've been there loads of times with catalogues.
Of course, exactly, absolutely. And you're thinking, oh my God, the front cover is going to be upside down. There's going to be pages missing. But I have to say, it was, absolutely fantastic job they did with the print. It was a huge relief. But I'd say one thing. I wouldn't say that surprised me, because I'm never surprised by this, and that is the fantastic reaction that we got from the Volkswagen community. And that's one of the amazing, fantastic things about owning a vehicle like this. For me, there is, albeit slightly biased, but for me, there is no other vehicle you can own like this that is, a conversation starter when you just pull into the petrol station. You never just go in and fill up with petrol, do you? There's always someone who's dad had one of those or whatever. But the support that we got from.
Oh, we've lost you again, John. No. Aha.
Hello.
Yeah, I think you're
Am I
back.
back?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. So yes, well, basically everything went to plan apart from this interview, Andy.
That's just relying on third parties.
So yeah, that, and I think the thing was, people just, once we started putting stuff out on social media, people seemed to really get what we were trying to do and where we were coming from, and the kind of genuine sincerity, if you like, behind it all. And I think a great example of that is how we're working with VW Radio. They've been brilliant. They've absolutely got on board with us right from the start. Just a couple of emails, a couple of conversations with Tony and Simon, and away we went. So those guys have been really supportive, and that the whole community has been absolutely amazing.
Fantastic. I've finished with this question a few times really, and it's generated some wonderful answers. So if you could drive any vehicle with anyone anywhere, what, where, and who would it be with?
Okay. Can I not have a microbus and just fill it?
Yeah, we've had that actually. Yeah, we had that the other week with Paul at Type 2 Detectives. Okay. He wanted to go to Bug Jam 1 with all his friends.
Okay, so actually, it's kind of bus related. I would choose Michael Caine.
Okay.
In a coach.
In the Alps.
Absolutely. And he'd have to be in character. He'd need to be Charlie. He couldn't be Michael. He'd have to be Charlie.
I love this.
And swinging around those corners, we'd be singing Self-Preservation Society as we swung it round. And I want him to tell me what his great idea is, because this has been keeping me awake at night for decades. Decades. All that hard work, all that cheering in the, honestly, it's getting to me now.
I like that. Yeah, that is it's a classic film. That.
Oh.
It's not Volkswagen related.
I know, but I've got a bit of a thing for minis as well. So it's not quite up there with the Volkswagens, but yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, John. It's been great to obviously flick through the first issue, and also brilliant to learn sort of more about Airstyle really, and what kind of turned it from an idea into reality.
Thank you.
But for everyone who's kind of watching, obviously, thanks for sort of hanging out with us this afternoon, bearing with us for the glitches. But obviously, we'll do an edit of it. If people want to find out more about Airstyle, I think you're at air_style_VW magazine.
Yep.
All the underscores on Instagram, and slightly easier air-style.co.uk on the interweb.
Yeah.
So you've got, I think the taster issue is free, isn't it? People can kind of flick through that and
yes. Yeah, absolutely. There's a taster edition on there. We've just the second issue we've just put available for pre-order now on there. Okay. On there as well. Obviously, everybody that's already subscribed will get that automatically. But if people just want to buy one issue and see what we're all about, then they can either have the current issue, or they can pre-order issue number 2, and hopefully, as things change and we get some kind of normal back, we'll be able to get out and about and be able to meet a whole lot of people in person and have the magazine at a whole lot of shows. That's certainly the plan.
Just to touch on subscriptions before we kind of wrap up, they're available internationally. It's not just a UK thing. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. And this again was where social media worked really, really well with the launch issue. We had people sending us pictures from Australia, New Zealand, Canada, America, right across Europe. So yeah, it was. It literally worldwide. I mean, we had. You probably noticed we had a lot of cool cars in there from all over the world in that first issue, and that's very much down to our partnership, obviously through Spencer through Under the Arches, which has a truly global reach. I mean, it has in excess of 75,000 followers across the main platforms.
Oh, wow.
So through that, we were able to reach out and get some really, really cool cars in from Canada. I mean, the cover cars are from Canada, and some from the States, from Belgium. It's it's been we've managed to have a real kind of global reach with it, which has been fantastic, because it's a worldwide thing. It's not just us here in the UK. Obviously, it's a massive thing worldwide.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Yeah, issue 1 and kind of seeing cars that you haven't seen before. Quite often the internet spoils it, but if you flick through a magazine and you see stuff that you've not seen before, then makes it worth it, isn't it?
Fantastic, thank you. And nice thing about this chat today, Andy, as well, is you've given me a lot of feedback from someone that's picked up the magazine and has read it, and you obviously see a lot of the publications as well. You have to with your day job, clearly. So anybody else that wants to get in touch, that's got any ideas, suggestions, aside from vehicles that they would like to have covered, if there's subject areas that people would like us to cover, then just let us know, because that's absolutely what we're there for, and what we're all about.
Fantastic. Thank you again for joining us. Really, obviously, we've given your website a bit of a shout out. If there's people out there, I think we mentioned before, anyone wants to come on and have a chat, then drop us a DM. If you got any ideas for people we should talk to, then also drop us a message. Massive thank you to everyone for watching. We're going to be saving this chat to our stories in a second, so you'll be able to get it on IGTV. We'll also republish it onto Facebook and YouTube, so you can catch any bits you've missed. Yeah, please like it, please share it, tag your friends, comment on it, etc. We'll see you all again soon. Thank you very much, John. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Andy, and apologies to everybody for technical difficulties.
Not a problem. It happens.
Thanks for bearing with us.
It's cool. Have a good one.
Brilliant.
See you later.
You too, Andy. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.